Hi, welcome to the Verse Virtual Poetry Month reading for April. It's April 25th, and we're almost finished with Poetry Month. I hope yours has been as good as mine. Today we have two wonderful features, Nadia Alexis and Monica Ong, with interesting and um, excellent poetry for us at the end of Poetry Month. Our first reader today is going to be Nadia Alexis. And let's see if I can share her. I have her website I want to put in the chat. I'm going to do that right now. And then I will. Okay, there we go. Nadia Alexis is a poet, writer, and photographer born in Harlem to Haitian immigrants. She's the author of the hybrid debut collection, Beyond the Watershed, which was longlisted for the 2025 Maya Angelou Book Award and finalist for the 2022 Ghost Peach Press Prize. She is one of Poets and Writers' 2026 10 Best Debut Poets. She's earned honors, including the Haitian Creatives Digital Awards, Poet of the Year. Her photography has been exhibited internationally and virtually. A fellow of the Callaloo Creative Writing Workshop and the Watering Hole, she holds a PhD and MFA from the University of Mississippi.
Thank you, Robbi. Um, I'm going to start reading some poems from my first book, my first and only book so far, Beyond the Watershed. And I love this cover. I love the cover because I feel like the cover designer had to take some risk to do this. It's kind of a little unusual in a good way. So I'm going to start with the title poem of the book called Watershed. I arrive at my father's feet, a dying mapu tree. He covers his eyes with mud while goats feast on my fallen hair. I hear my mother call for the Lord to send just enough rain for our lungs and her carnations to see a new season. My mother always said boys are best at taking. I once loved a boy who turned pomegranates in my yard into salt. In the mirror, I see a donkey's head without a home. Daisies dance atop her hair, and she teaches me how to wail for cover. My mother and I kneel on uncooked rice. Sweat of our hands no longer remembers its owner. Our knees become prunes. One night I see my father weep and rock like a forgotten river. How he must know what it's like to fight against disappearance. The longer I stay in the home my lover and I built on this mountain, the more I tire of circadian leaps into the field of cacti. Every year, Lake Azuye rises and forces change on the trees and birds and people of the watershed. They no longer believe the water will leave them. I spend nights running from hail and company of vultures. I make peace with the ways my father and I look away from errors and ruin. My parents make rituals of warnings, and I follow in their footsteps anyway. But my mother says I can build a new home from clouds, and I believe her. Cantaloupe. 1. I am 10 the first time Ma let me split the skin of a cantaloupe without her. My knee still bandaged and burning from a fall I took on the playground that day. While playing tag, a classmate pushes me like she wants the ground to remember it. I don't push back, tell my teacher instead, and declare I wish it were a half day. When I get home, I tell Ma I'm aching for sugar and numbing. So she hands me a knife, and I lay the tough skinned fruit on its side, cut the two shortest ends, and watch them fall like playing cards. I think back to the breaking, stand it upright to make it into a split sun. Ma offers to redress my wound in ointment. I dig up and toss innards like they're memories I want to bury. There is no aloe vera here. Cut and cut until cantaloupe flesh resembles square-shaped Lego bricks. Devour several slices before I place the others to rest in our Tupperware. 2. My sisters and I climb the plastic-adorned couch in our living room. Mountains of clothes and blankets all over the rug for extra cushion. Today we dive into an ocean, bellies full of fruit blessings and minds still on fire from a story Ma told us about a black girl in Harlem who could fly like a bird. We want to turn into dolphins and fly. We know we can wish this. Feet steadied, hands on each other's shoulders, knees bent for the journey. There's nothing like the thirst of black girls who believe in their own dreams. Cantaloupe juice can only quench so much. We fly and dive into the water we built, bellies pointed up and down as we lie, with bodies transformed into wind. Um, I'm going to read a poem called Prayer to Ezeli Danto. And Ezeli Danto is a Haitian voodoo spirit who was an important part of the Haitian Revolution in terms of them getting their freedom. But she's also considered a protector of women and children who are victims of abuse. And so I discovered her when I was writing the poems, writing the book. And next to each of the poems, Danto poems, is a self-portrait photograph of myself out in the woods in Mississippi. And yeah,
If
there are
you
six
rather
of them.
share images,
I
you,
could, but you want to try it? Because I didn't want to, because I'm going to share image later too. So I figured I would just put the book up, but we can do a screen share. I have it
uh,
up.
yeah, go ahead.
All right,
I'm
let
an
me do,
expressing poet myself, and so I understand that.
yeah, um, let me, I'm just going to share the image so y'all can see it better. Let's do the screen share. Okay, can y'all see that? Yeah, you can, right? I can see it. Cool. Um, so this is actually a cropped version of it. I can say more about this later. I just want to get through the poem though. Prayer to Ezri Danto number 1. He cut my tongue from its home and left two roosters at war. Rain betrays earth when it refuses to join hands. Orphan stories still sit in my skin. He cut my tongue from its home and left me with breath and pens to etch the truth into water. I was once a wildflower clinging to hope that the sun could break through cinder block doors. I remember the names of every man who filled my blood with grenades, redrew the map of my brain, stole bread and honey from my kitchen. I lay in my own blood and remember them enough to write them all dead. I'm going to stop the screen share and share again. The next poem is called Definition. Dust silences the sky as braids unravel atop me. Tonight I consider the burdens of a shadow. Each section of the hair is judged by how much it can bend and make itself beautiful enough to provide definition. What is a living thing without some kind of darkness? Each curl strives to be something memorable and solitary, yet willing to make space for growth of neighbors, even the ones that may not make it past the next leaf fall. The more I long to disappear places of my origin, the more scars follow and ask to be remembered. As days leave, so do some definitions. If running toward light makes a shadow too big, how long can I make this home of avoidance one of survival? With the risk of becoming a tree bark of opacity, I add water and oil and consider how to style these strands I've been given. Language. The next poem is a palindrome poem, so the second part mirrors the first. The ocean swallowed a father, my father's father whole. His father ate too many hearts of chicken and women. He ate his children, my father one of them. By the time my mother and father walked by the same tree, he was born again into new skins. My father is multilingual. He knows the cadence of clouds after murmuration, the language, algebra equations, American English, rough hands, Haitian Creole, turnbacks, and laughter. He taught me how to eat the sun in my own tongue. How to eat the sun in my own tongue, turnbacks and laughter. He taught me English, rough hands, Haitian Creole, algebra equations, American after murmuration. The language, he knows the cadence of clouds into new skins. My father is multilingual. By the same tree, he was born again by the time my mother and father met his children, my father one of them. Too many hearts of chicken and women. He ate my father's father whole. His father ate the ocean and swallowed a father. Um, Praise song for my mom made me a bird lover, and I share that with her later. But she made me a bird lover because she loves birds, but I didn't know why. And so anyway, that made its way into this poem. Praise song for Ma. Praise the silence, it never leaves us without our shadows. Praise bees that remind me I still have breath in my body. Praise the will in you despite the weight of him and the world. Praise the warped toolbox and mirrors you put in my hands. Praise laughter after floods tried to take everything but our memories. Praise the skin, it mends and persists like trees through winter. Praise the secrets we hold and bear. Praise hunger. Praise boats we build for escaping. Praise rain that chips away at walls between us. Praise how you love to watch birds fly. Um, the next poem is called Obad. I'm not sure if I'm saying this word right. Obad. I think it's Obad after the storms. It's an Obad poem. Morning poem. Wounded rooster sings of morning like it wants to forget the night. Invites my eyes to open like curtains. Sunlight breaks the window pane. Reminder that my favorite season is still here. Mouth of the beach awaits me. I wake and try to wash what he left of me in ruins. Towel press droplets into my skin like gauze after a drawing of blood. Grab a blue dress from its hanger and search for peace in its cotton folds. I walk down an empty road and glance at a man's beard, the color of a pigeon's back. He smiles at me like I am kin. I smile back, though we look nothing alike. Wind propels my cypress legs forward, embraces knees that want nothing more than to pummel the ground. I arrive at the beach where armies of waves cut into sand like Ma cut and split fresh bread. Hairs on my arms stand in longing for home in my former lover's palms, despite beating winds of his voice and hands. They say missing an abuser is normal, yet one day you'll return to your reflection with sky of you more often blue than barren. I have two more poems, and this one requires a screen share. Hold on, I
Yeah.
gotta pull it up. Um, all right. This is another self-portrait of me. You can see more. It's me as a representative. It's not really me, but out in the woods in Mississippi. Um, I lost myself. Hold on. I had the poem up. Now I have to go back to table of contents. Okay, 50. Pray. And it's spelled Prey. That kind of pray. My lover once said a woman is best with a mouth as a closed door. If she should want to open it, let it be brief and of bright blooms. If she should dare to make herself bigger than a man with her voice full of restless bells, she must be ready to make war with hands bare. If she can't, she must nail her tongue to a tree's bark, or he'll bury her into earth's belly. I no longer wish to be the ground carrying him, no longer wish to follow rules that drain me of fresh water. Today I am guilty of becoming a falcon, every bit of him for my consumption. For years I have felt alone and dry-bellied, but tonight I am Ezeli Danto's child, armed with scarred vines and silver. I strike and he falls like leaves under the weight of a half woman, half mountain. And the last poem I will read is another Danto poem. And let me see, I'm going to turn to it and pull up the picture for that. It's number 5 in the series. It's my favorite one in it. Prayer to Ezeli Danto, number 5. In my dreams, I run across the ocean and become more woman with each wave. Something like you. I fly bruiseless and renewed by the blue suns. Assemblies of mothers and daughters sing and laugh big until we all fly hand in hand. We sweat and become our own guava horizons. Every coconut tree is a city that welcomes us. No one tries to take the moon from our teeth. In this world, we don't have to lower our heads or bend. Everywhere we go, so does the water. Our hair shimmies at the clouds and makes songs with the wind. No rape, no black eyes, no pockets or souls sucked dry. No one to lead us away from this home. Everything we can dream is blooming and true. Thank you. And
Wow,
thanks for the love in the comments. Thank you for the love in the comments. I'm going to look at it now.
thank you for the wonderful, fascinating poems. It's a pleasure to host you and to be introduced to your work. And I'm sure everyone here feels the same. We'll have an opportunity after the open for people to ask a couple of questions if they want. I'm sure they'll have some questions. Um, our next reader, our next feature, let me find the bios. There we go. is Monica Ong, and she is a visible visual poet and the author of Silent Anatomies, Core Press, who brings a designer side to experimental literature with hybrid image poems and installations that surface hidden narratives of women and diaspora. Her recent series, astronomy inspired visual poetry, was exhibited at the Poetry Foundation and is the basis of the book Planetaria Visual Poetry, published by Proxima Vera, with a foreword by John Yao. Her fine press visual poetry editions and literary art objects reside in over 60 distinguished institutional collections worldwide. In 2024, Ong was honored as the U.S. Artist Fellow.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to also just start a screen share. Um, okay, here we go. Thank you to Robbi of Verse Virtual and the Verse Virtual team. And thank you so much to Nadia Alexis. It's such a joy and pleasure to read with such a stunning and incredible poet. So I'm very honored to share this space with you and of course all of you who took the time to gather for poetry today. Planetary has had quite a journey, first as an exhibition, then as a planetarium poetry experience, and now as, this visual poetry collection. And so my hope is to bring to you some favorite aspects of these experiences in this special reading that I created for you this afternoon. So Planetaria invites us into the Chinese night sky, where stars are organized into asterisms, which are smaller than the constellations you might already know from the Greco-Roman sky. One of the most well-known 13th century sky maps is called the Suchao Astronomical Chart, and it's what you see here. It contains 283 small asterisms made up of over 1,500 individual stars. The asterisms that follow the lunar path are known as the 28 mansions and are organized into 4 groups, one for each cardinal direction. There is a guardian animal who oversees 7 mansions in their domain. These mythical creatures include the azure dragon of the east, the red phoenix of the south, the white tiger of the west, and the black warrior of the north, which is an alliance of the tortoise and the snake. There are also 3 enclosures where various characters reside, including the Heavenly Market enclosure, the Supreme Palace enclosure, and then near the center is the Purple Forbidden enclosure. And that enclosure centers itself around the great Emperor of Heaven, who sits basically near where the North Star would typically be. So I'm going to start with a poem that kind of zooms in on, these cluster of stars around the Purple Forbidden enclosure. And while traditionally these stars on this traditional map typically depict the social hierarchies and the sort of military walls that enclose the great emperor, I wanted to reimagine what it would be like to think of these stars from a female perspective. So rather than thinking about these walls from as like a symbol of military might, I wanted to rewrite these walls as a woman's womb and to shift the symbolism from that of male conquest towards the open door of female power. And you can see here, this is a broadside I made based on that star map. And the asterisms names are printed in the silver foil, and my lyrical lines are printed in gold foil. And both of the plates are laid over like a letterpress background of the map in custom ink. And so this is called Purple Forbidden Enclosure. and I'm going to begin with the caption for its context. Upper sector of the Northern Hemisphere, 40 to 90 degrees declination, with selected constellations both inside and outside the walls of the purple forbidden enclosure. Positioned on the celestial North Pole, this central court outranks all other courts, its rule of power spread out like a mother's worry, from wall to wall, sky to sky. The muscle memory of your eyes averts the strange foliage of her purple, forbidden enclosure. Flying serpents circle overhead. An ear's omen rings in the arrival of wayward ships. Canopy view of clouds, not yet consent. Left wall of soft labia raised to let no one in. She is the pillar holding up this portal to the earth. Even the great emperor of heaven must be granted passage to touch the shores of this life and the next. Little girl's lost basket of mulberry leaves. Female protocol. Look up to her. See the self dissolve like dust into mouth-open sky. Right wall bathed in vigil light, cleansing away local dialects of shame. Celestial bed of maidenhair fern. Silver lace vines braid and unbraid time with hidden virtue. Loneliness leaves you atop nightfall's inner steps, her fingertip a tiny moon. The seven excellencies, once sisters, run to preside over a new sky. No judge of nobility, no more temples of apology. No, so singular and clean. How does one carry the voice like a timely spear? Love one you hope to never use. This night sky also inspired me to design The Stargazer, where I wrote lyrical lines to connect selected asterisms designed into a planisphere that reveals a poem from any direction of reading. And the way one might use it is to align the date to the hour of the time of the reading, and it should reveal the stars for that moment. And as your eyes wander, you'll also be able to find a poem unique to your own reading. It's the kind of poem that changes with the seasons, such that the sky you might read on a summer birthday feels different than the sky you might offer a loved one on a winter's night. So for today, I wanted to give a reading of this planisphere based on the birthday of one of my favorite poets. Her name is Teresa Hakkyung-cha, who was born on March 4th. So this is the Stargazer in honor of her birth date. You are here to enter the palace of your life, to meet yourself on the side of the road, arms waving beneath a tender sky. Don't scold, don't fall in the grass face down, this body counted among us. Slow the car to a purr. Doors unlock from the terrace, secret sails drifting towards the wing of the red bird. Time's curtain draws open a temple of incense, my heart in ashes. Step off moonstone the way Chang'e floats over swelling waters, who carries you a beacon of ghost kin. Your solitude, a deeper well, where rivulets flow. Willows tap the kitchen window, stars send arrows to the land of God and soil. Women warriors gather, take comfort, lifting voices over the vast silence. Bury this whip-wet heap of corpses, a pond of glass. Self-slander's blood moon mansion of darkness eavesdrops wound and whisper in the ear. A prayer in 9 doors still holds the unseen promise of a meadow, your orchard of handheld poems. Your silver horses find their feet in pools of silt, the fog's outward gaze we share. In dream revision, home is woven from sky, not skin. Whatever it is you withhold from yourself, give it generously. So um, I had to read a piece to kind of pay tribute to the recent Artemis 2 mission that went to the dark side of the moon. As you know, the naked eye can only see one side of the moon from Earth due to this phenomenon called tidal locking. But because of scientific innovations that, we're lucky enough to witness, humanity is able to glimpse the other side. And as such, our perspective of the moon has expanded. And so I was thinking about creating a meditation on women's labor that I could map onto the dark side of the moon. And in to create a piece like this, I actually turned to one of NASA's very first glimpses of this side of the moon, as captured by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. It was probably a couple decades ago. And after outlining the craters by hand, I had the drawing sent to a letterpress studio where the design was embossed onto paper, and you can see the metal plate that they had created with the drawing. And it was laid over a surface, which then, on top of that, had letterpress printing in platinum silver foil. And in this process, I was thinking about how the embossed layer represents for me the way women's labor undeniably shapes our professional fields, and how that contrasts with the layer of text representing how little space they take up in the historical record. And while there are so many planetary maps, often with features named after men, I wanted to create a map for which all the words are dedicated to a woman. And someone who inspired me deeply for this was Dr. Chen Shengwu. And so, she was a Chinese American experimental physicist. And in 1956, she was approached by colleagues Teng Dao Li and Chen Yang to devise experiments to disprove the law of parity conservation in radioactive decay. Wu placed cobalt 60 into an electromagnetic field at low temperatures and observed that weak interactions among particles were not always symmetrical, overturning a long-held principle of physics. And thanks to Wu, Li and Yang were awarded the 1957 Nobel Prize in Physics. Wu, however, was not included in the honors. Her name Chen Sheng translates as courageous hero. So this is the dark side of the moon. Our labor rises from this side of the moon. Explosive, precise, prolific, yet glimpsed in libration, not liberation. History's gaze tidally locked on our other half. Across your ridges, mountains of evidence map the fission of your mind and the unmirrored truth of all things. Noble women know how to find each other in the dark between motes of dust and doubt. Pay no mind to stares that care only to caress the surface. Some of us teach our daughters to hang red lanterns at the ends of their limbs. Wonder where they wander in the cold cobalt night. Hold on. In weak interactions between particles or men, you proved more than anyone how symmetry is violated. In your shadow, my sleep breaks. Fields of glass-wing butterflies shatter the myopic sky. Invisible, in plain sight, flying straight into this eye. Okay. So I'm going to pause there because I know we're at time. And thank you so much again for welcoming us to this wonderful space. And I hope that you enjoyed getting to see some selections from Planetaria.
Absolutely fascinating. And you're very well paired. Have you ever read together before?
We
No.
haven't, but
No, we haven't. But
you have.
I'm so
I didn't mention this earlier, but I saw Monica's work. years ago in this book, Silent Anatomies, which came out in when 2013. When
It's
did this
like
come out?
2015, yeah.
2015. And that is what made gave me the idea to put photographs in my book. And I'm always like mentioning that at readings. And so when she reached out to me to feature with her, I was like, yes. So I was really excited about that. I really love her work, and it's great to meet you
Yeah,
officially.
no,
So or
the
officially on Zoom.
it's like it's
I'm
such a
so
mutual
glad to be able
admiration.
to bring you together. That's that's just wonderful. And I ended up doing this, asking people to choose their co-features because of someone who featured a couple years ago who wanted to bring two of his friends to read with him. And they were, one of them couldn't come, but they were wonderful. And from then on, that's what I've done. And I've never been sorry. We've gotten some amazing features by people I didn't know at all. Um, and they didn't know, well, they knew each other usually, or they admired each other's work, as with you two. So that's the best possible way to learn, I think, about new poetry that's out there. And this poetry is new in more ways than one. So it's a pleasure to have you. And we'll get back to you with more questions after a short um, open mic. And it looks pretty short today, unless there's anyone else who would like to add themselves to the list to read two poems or 5 minutes, whichever comes first. Um, so anyone who isn't on the list want to be on the list. Speak up.
If I'm not, I would like to.
You are on the
Thank you.
list. Yeah. All righty then. So then let's start with Marc Petrie, since he was here first.
Thank you, Robbie. I'm dedicating this reading to John Bradingham because of his loss and because this is where I first learned about his wonderful poetry, and he's missed. This first part is from a longer work. It's called Zalm at Low Tide. Um, I'm reading the first part, which is Journey. When I've traveled to the coast to scan the wilderness, where I've reached land's end, when I've seen the endless horizon to the edge of the world, imagining what lies beneath the surface before returning to the finite world I know, where my wife and son wait, where I have spent the last 38 years of life. I walk into the entry where a banner proclaims, Zedek, Zedek Tirov. Justice shalt thou pursue, justice have I pursued. In this house, I do not need to seek redemption. The wicked world is no longer mine, no longer wandering in the wilderness. I stumble in the dark of night when the box I bump into tips on the floor. My wife leads me back to bed. My son helps me pick up the clothes and put the box away. For many years, I dwelled in death's shadows, tormented by evil, unwilling to see the good. And this second piece is something I wrote this morning. Um, it's about whatever that woman's name, Sydney Sweeney or wherever she is. And it's called To a Hollywood Starlet. The image hit my news feed up, pacifier in mouth, crotch of the underwear bunched like a diaper. It forms the focus of the photo, since the breasts were blurred, which on Euphoria are the biggest sales pitch, the body being a commercial commodity. My sister was pinched black and blue as a baby in her crib by my father, ravaged by shrapnel at the Battle of the Bulge, who could not get her to stop crying. That is the image that sticks in my mind, along with wondering how long young women will sell their bodies to industrialized pornography so they can stay at the fanciest hotels in Turk and Barbados, and how long women like my sister will pay the bill. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks very much. No, I haven't heard about it at all, so I tend to stay away from that kind of story these days. Thank you so much. And our next reader is Rose.
You're still muted, Rose.
Okay. I do that very rarely, that I forget to unmute myself. I'm reading from the book that is slated for publishing end 26, beginning 27. And the second part of this book, I'm looking back. In my books now, I'm looking back because I'm an old woman, and old women have the tendency to look back. So the second part is really about my travels and why I left home and stuff like that. Pull up and go. The streets too narrow, the boys too ugly, mother too mother, landscapes made from iron and stainless steel, gasometers and loading cranes, coal trains. There was one row of sycamores and a forest where acid rain at the green. You kissed Heinz in the fire-red light of the glowing slag runoff, or rather he kissed you, and wet and slobbery it was, and the mirror showed no change, no maturing, your sacrifice had left no visible mark, and he told. You wouldn't wait to get out, reinvent yourself, go where no one knew that you grew in a world of soot and glowing steel, that you kissed the wrong boy at the wrong time, that you once wore woolly knickers and had no idea what virginity was. And how you wish you could go home again, but they don't know you anymore. And the other one is one of the poems of my troubles. Between night and day in the port city. The first drums fill the narrow cobblestoned Antwerp street, for a moment clanging into semi-consciousness, the sleepers still full of last night's sins and revelry. A pinch's puck in the bar at the corner before the sun comes up, where the working girls and taxi drivers will find a hot soup, a fresh baguette, and a cognac to warm the gullet. Condoms, cigarette butts, and chewed out bubblegums side by side, friendly witnesses to meeting under the cast iron wrought street lamps or in the shadows afforded to those who would not be seen. Anitje stretches under her semen-stained sheets, giving herself a luxurious reprieve from demanding hands and urging voices. The cat never twitched. Madame looks at her bedside clock and relaxes, her heavy body almost unable to move. When the last client had left, she waddled upstairs and fell into her sagging mattress. She needs to pee. Pete whistles, hands in his dark blue overall pockets, walking purposefully towards the harbor, breathing in a sharp early morning air that carries promises on the waters of river and sea. Another ship has come in from Valparaiso. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. How many books now?
How many books? Oh, this is my 9th full-length collection, and my chapbook, my second chapbook is about to do the rounds.
Yay. Well, I'm so happy to hear it.
Well, I
You're my
wonder
hero.
sometimes whether I'll still be alive to see it published.
I always say that I want to be like Rose when I grow up.
Thank you. I'm 88, by the way.
I should be like you when I'm 88.
That's why I'm looking back, clearly.
Thank you. Our
Thank
next
you.
reader is Mary. I think she keeps getting thrown off. I hope she's back again. You back? All right. Go on, Mary.
It's connecting to audio.
Oh. Okay, shall I go on to the next person and come back to you,
Hello.
Mary? All right.
No, you know what? My Zoom kept unzooming. Can you hear me? You can? Okay. I don't know what's wrong with it, but it went out like 3 times.
Yeah, I've had that
Oh,
problem.
well.
You have to turn off all your
This is a
apps.
first.
It happened to me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it'll last through my reading here. Okay. One thing I must say that the 2 readers that we've had today have just been astonishing. And so, at a time when we need really some really good news, they brought that. I mean, just so marvelously done. I just can't say too much about it. Okay, this one's called Pilgrimage. You think we're traveling together in the same boat, same town, same time, but I'm riding a split rail, a dislocation you can't see yet, though you suspect I'm not completely here. Dragging baggage dredged up from deep under, pulled up over me like a blanket of suffocating sand. Maybe that's why I walk so unsteadily, where you find smooth, hard, packed earth, and I lift each foot out from a heavy pile of sand, threatening to unbalance us all. These divisions endlessly deflect our attempts at conversation, our words colliding as they swing past each other, the tenses mismatched, the accents all in disarray. No song, but a jingle, tangling sense and nonsense in tighter and tighter, unsolvable knots. We're not even moving in time together. You glide through the hours like a skater on bright ice, while I hiccup and jump behind or in front of you in a broken rhythm of unsyncopated steps, more noise than music, columns unjustified, and memories unmatched, each such a stranger, they seem a fantasy designed to deceive and hold us apart, sequestered like nuns in wordless solitude. And this other one isn't any more cheerful. It's called Suffering. In time, you come to depend on it until it becomes your home, the one you always long to return to. Its pain a familiar comfort, like your mother's arms, your father's fist, so much of it a habit, what you learned with your first uncertain steps, the luscious colors of a bruise, purple as plums, blue as hyacinths, with music that enchants love in a minor key, the long sigh of grief. In time, you will cling to it, the only story where all the steps make sense, the one that ends the way you know it must, the one that keeps all its promises, has its own excuses, never abandons you to surprise or demands an apology, never asks for forgiveness or permission. In time, you learn to wear it like a crown, protect it like a treasure, the gravity your world depends on, solid as the stone beneath your feet, the stone in your throat, and the stone you carry, stubborn and reliable, fit for every dark encounter chance sets in your way, and keeps you safe from falling for some tempting, easier, softer, flashier, tinsel and powder puff redemption like only fools believe in. Thank you.
Nice work, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary, you are up.
Okay. And I have two poems that are like all poetry based in reality. This first is called Homeless, question mark. You see them every day. T-shirts and fatigue jackets walk the edges, squat on corners. Perhaps you drop $1 before you look away, before you move on. But then a friend tells how a daughter wandered for days, lost in a tangle of edges and corners, unable to find herself, until someone looked, saw her face, started her home. And alas, that story does not end well, because eventually, teenage girls grow up and end up wandering off the edge. Okay, this is called Veneration. China has so many ancestors in the ground. They move from place to place. To build a new China, the bodies must give ground, make room for the living. But the living lose track. They cannot find the bones. Many fear hungry ghosts. The party tells them all bones do not matter. Filial piety satisfies ancestors. The living need only altars, spirit tablets. Many of the living hear only ancestors, the call of tradition. Many of the living know the soul becomes three. No one stays with the bones. On the edge of becoming ancestors, the living now fear the ground will close. Welcome only ashes. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
You're muted, Robbi.
Oh, thank you, Gary. Sorry. Our next reader is Betsy.
Ooh, I wasn't gonna read, but
Oh, I thought.
no, I just woke up. I'm sorry, that's why I was off camera. I've been sucking down coffee, but let me I can, if it's okay, bear with me 1 second, and I can pull out a couple of poems from my upcoming manuscript. Might as well. Okay, so the first one I'll read is titled Aposematism. Porcupines have quills, skunks have their funk, hedgehogs roll away, leaving predators to seek easier prey. Tortoises withdraw into the homes that they carry, rabbits to their burrows. Even snails find refuge from unwanted touch. And sea anemones, asexual, retract into the cavity of their mouths when under attack, armed to sting. Poison dart frogs reveal their toxicity through their skin, pigments screaming caution. The poor human that I am Evolved with no protections, offering no warnings. I roll over, present you the soft risk of my belly. And then I was working on this with Tommy Hilbert yesterday, so I have this all in a folder. So let me just bear with me one second. I'll read this one. This is, since Mother's Day is coming up, I guess I'll read this one. It's an older one, but I still feel it. When I was born, I was born into a box to warm my flesh. They gave me heat lamps to light the way, an incubator to finish the task my mother couldn't perform. My premature body born, small flesh untouched. From a damp, dark world of flesh and blood, I was born into a box of warming lights, swaddled in clean cotton instead of womb. There was no room to move when I was born, the water breaking in the kitchen, my mother washing at the sink. She felt me sink toward the bottom of her pelvic floor, held me tight for hours while her body nurtured me a little more. Grown impatient, I emerged and was born into a box, taken from her hands and breast, lest I failed to thrive. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry to.
Oh, it's okay. I know I was a little ambivalent. You know, I kind of just love listening. I think this has been astonishing. I even thought it was a different reading, and then I thought, oh well, you know, I don't know these poets, but now I made these discoveries that are just incredible. I mean, I just jumped on and was researching both of you, and I mean, I'm just blown away. Really wonderful poetry and art.
I did put up both poets' pages, web pages. They're in there, but you may
That might have been
to
before I got on, because
yeah, yeah. Let's see. I might have one of them still. Yeah, I have one of them. So there's one. Um, our next poet is Jim.
I have two fairly short poems. The first one was a reflection on the notion that a poem is never finished. And I have never, ever subscribed to that concept, because when I write a poem and I put my name at the bottom, it is finished. So here's a poem about that concept, and it's called Surgery in Utero. Some things are best left to experts who have the precise training to reach into an unborn's room and deftly snip, stitch, repair something that would otherwise be crippling or fatal. I believe that if I had such skills, I could revise my poems before they ever see daylight. The second one is a reflection on the futility, exercises in futility, and why I don't watch football anymore. It's called Three Downs and Punt. Go ahead, make me yawn with that run up the middle for a yard or two, or a loss of the same amount. Go ahead, try again. It might work if you don't believe in probability based on historical data. Go ahead, run twice, throw incomplete, and then, yep, punt the ball away over and over and over, hoping, like Granny at a slot machine, that one more quarter will do it, and walking away broke as always.
Thank you so much. I'm a little slow on the trigger finger today. Uh, I've got a couple of poems. One of them I chose without knowing Monica's work, and I chose well, just by accident. So I will share an image. This is a NASA picture of um, of a star nursery called NGC 1333 in the Perseus molecular cloud. And as you can see, it corresponds to the Chinese year of the horse. Um, there it is. And it's been up there forever. This poem is going to be in sometime this summer in McQueen's Quinterly, and it's called "Shall I Call Her Night?" This black mare gallops through the galaxy without sound. Astronomers named her NGC 1333. You'll find her in the Perseus molecular cloud. But that's a designation, not a name. Not like the names the ancients gave, linked to myth and fable. Seen from a certain angle, she bulges with stars, bright bodies, outside and in. Her mane and tail are one wavering line of flame. She wears a saddle of stars. No bridle or reins restrain her. No one rides her. Is she the fire horse on the Chinese calendar? No borders in this place. No time. Darkness and light combine. So long as there is dust to shape, this horse will go on galloping. And one other forthcoming poem that's going to be in Vox Populi probably later this summer. I gotta find it. Called Liminal. One late summer day, when I was just about 13, I saw a bedraggled mimosa tree growing beside a dumpster. It was an accident, seed dropped by a bird, but it seemed to me a firmament of pinwheel stars. All I wanted was to climb it, rest beneath the shelter of its leaves, to escape the awkward body I was tethered to, growing hair in places that had once been sheer skin, volcanic acne seething on my cheeks and chin. I crossed over to the vacant lot where the smell of ripe rot stung my nose, felt the tree's hot bark beneath my hands, waves of heat shimmering on the cement. Above me, in the heaving gypsy caterpillar tents, thousands of bodies transformed into something new, consuming every leaf, falling through the web onto the dirt. I was caught up in this wreck of tangled morning glory vines and ragweed, this latter day gone Eden. Thank you. And now, if anyone has any questions for the features or anybody.
I have a question for Monica. Um, you have such a precise scientific background to your poems, and the way you mix them with feminism and with an Oriental viewpoint of the world. I'm just wondering about your education. How did you arrive at such a broad vision of the world?
Um, I would say so. I have a fine arts background, so I actually studied digital media and design at Rhode Island School of Design. But I chose that department specifically because I knew I could also try to bring in kind of my interest in the literary arts into digital media. Because at the time in the early 2000s, it was kind of like an art department with digital tools where you can kind of do whatever you want. And it was very much where there was a lot of that art tech crossover. So it was not unusual to be like hanging out with painters and then computer scientists, right? But also, I'm the daughter of a physician, so when I was exploring my first book, I was always like in my dad's closet, like looking at like medical objects and scientific journals, and also, I think what Tracy K. Smith often termed as science envy. Like, kind of, like I definitely didn't have the grades to be a scientist, but I always thought scientists were like the coolest people ever. So I think in a way, poetry was like a space to explore the stuff that kind of scared me or that felt a little intimidating, but was sort of this porous space to kind of explore things, I didn't, that I'm fascinated by, but and could make work about, but also had a little room to fold in the personal and also ask questions. And when during the pandemic, when my son was asking me about we got into space, so he was asking me about Chinese night star stories. I actually didn't know any, but I just thought, well, that's a great research question, and everyone was on Zoom, so I was actually reading scientific papers and then emailing the authors, and I found like a astral historian of early Chinese, astral sciences who lived in Paris, who like agreed to hang out with me on Zoom and explain like, where do you position these stars if you're going to make a planisphere, that sort of thing. So I just feel like you know, the education of a creative is just to always ask questions and to like just make lots of friends, right? Make friends in all kinds of places so that you can follow your questions. I think that was the main thing I got, particularly out of art school, is just like don't be afraid to go around the corner somewhere totally new and just and come to people with a big smile in your questions.
Thank you.
I have a question for Monica. Well, actually for both. Well, probably more for Monica, but how did you ever find a publisher to take that on?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I think I did struggle for a long time to, find a home for this, and I had a lot of fits and starts, but eventually, while I was like kind of bringing the manuscript to different places, I actually started a micropress to be able to create these sort of like more limited edition works because I was already as I work as a designer, so I was already someone who was very comfortable working with a lot of production houses and printers. And so when I started my micropress, it allowed me to create limited edition poetry, broadsides, and objects to bring to different collections. And after a while, I just realized like, well, if I'm already able to successfully, bring these works like this into museums and fairs and things, then there's, there isn't a reason for me not be able to extend this into an artist imprint. So after I won that fellowship a couple years ago, I then decided to throw my hat in and I turned Proxima Vera into an artist imprint. So the publisher is really an extension of, my micropress and studio, but the thing is, everything I learned, from, like, being in the poetry community and also talking to a lot of book artists, to small publishers and trying to understand how they work, you know, uh, especially, very experimental kinds. I realized that like for visual poets, this path, going in a very independent way is not new, like, when you go as far back as William Blake, who did Songs of Experience and Songs of Innocence, he self-published that because he was an engraver. He developed his own style of etching to be able to produce his, edition of 30, copies of that gorgeous classic now. And in the Fluxus era, Dick Higgins and Ulysses Carrion, like there were all these concrete poets, as well as a lot of other, kind of small presses where visual poetry really thrived, in these in these places. So I think in a way, it's been a really great adventure. But I think, I think just deciding to kind of go this path really allowed me to produce the book in a way that could carry, the textual aspects, but also capture the sort of like the gallery experience in those pages. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and maybe if your press is taking submissions, you could put the URL of your webpage.
I'll put it out. I'll just put it out there if people just want to learn more about it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, because there are a few places that publish ekphrastic, but not a
Mm,
lot. And some places are ready to publish it. They really don't have the chops. And you
mm.
clearly do. So
Thank you.
it's good. It's good to know as many such presses as you can. And I should ask Nadia whether it was difficult to get a press that would publish your photographs with the poems.
I submitted it to 6 or 7 places over a few years, and I did notice some places specifically say don't send manuscripts that have images in them, and I was like, and one of them was like this big prize that first books could get, and I just thought, well, that's so unfortunate that I can't submit to that, because I have photographs in my book. So I didn't want to take the photographs out. So I looked to see who seemed like they would be open to it or who was open to it. Like they had the hybrid works
Mhm.
published,
Well,
and I submitted.
if you only send it to 6 or 7 places, you're way ahead of
Yeah,
most of us.
I didn't want to. That's how I kind of approach things in life. I don't like even with for the MFA, I only applied to like 4. I just was very picky. I didn't want to do. I know there's an approach to submit to all over the place. Submit to a lot a long list, and I did not want to do that. So uh, Kevin Carey Press. It's not that I saw them publish like a hybrid book like mine, but they just seemed like they would be open to it. So I submitted it and they said yes. And actually, one of my former classmates has a book coming out in May who does very interesting things in their book as well. Visually, I mean, Noel Quinones is the author's name, and Orange is the title of the book. So they're even doing more of it. So yeah, I just submitted to what might feel aligned. But yeah, there was some places that, said no, send it. And
Most places.
I didn't even bother reaching out to see if they would make an exception or something like that.
No,
But
you
that felt a
shouldn't.
little discouraging. And I thought, well, I think more and more presses are going to change their tune on that over time because I don't think that this is going away. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but I think more and more people are interested in doing
I think you're right.
interesting things in their work. Yeah.
May I ask,
Yeah.
Nadia one more question? Nadia, I'm a native French speaker,
Mhm.
and one of my favorite poets, of course, is Aimé Césaire, and I was influenced into going into poetry partially because of his Negritude poems. And I'm wondering, you're Haitian by background, and I'm wondering how much the French language and the Haitian culture has influenced the cadence of your poems. I heard it in your poetry, even though they were in English.
Yeah, and I do have a couple poems. A couple poems? Huh. Oops.
What is that? Is that you or is that someone else?
I think her earbuds might have died and she's trying to get something.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay. My AirPod. Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying? Language. Yeah, definitely Haitian language and culture influenced the poems. Um, there's a couple poems in the book where I will use Haitian Creole in there, and definitely Haitian landscape influence as well. I'm also a fan of Aimé Césaire um, and other Negritude poets and writers. And um, I studied abroad in France because of that colonial influence, that colonial connection, rather, to Haiti. And that was really interesting to me. But I did study, I took like a French class, French literature class in college where we got to study Francophone, Black Francophone writers. And so I do think that all of that has had some type of influence on me. And I wanted the book to culturally feel like it was a part of the Haitian diaspora. I mean, it is because I wrote it, and so it comes out naturally. But I did intentionally use certain images and phrasings and such. Yeah.
Hmm,
Thank you.
thank you.
Uh,
Okay.
Anybody?
I
Have a
have
quick
a question. I came to this Zoom because of Monica and the visual poetry, and I was so thrilled that Nadia also had your art and your poetry. So I got a twofer in this one. And so my question is, just thinking about the visual poetry piece, is that when and I have done visual poetry myself, so I struggle a little bit with the image and the poem and how to bring those together. One comes up before the other, this is the first time I've heard of a hybrid poem. So for each of you, the question is. Um, um, Marrying the visual and the poetry. So whoever wants to go first, I'd love to hear from both of you.
Do you want me to try taking a crack at, like, are you asking about process? Like how, like what does the process look like?
I guess so, but also it from the start. I'm most curious about the beginning and maybe the whole thing. I'm not sure, but for sure, but the beginning.
Like what kind of inspires that alchemy of those things coming together in a way? Is that what you're asking?
Um, okay, but I'm thinking of you've got a new idea
Hmm.
and you're a visual poet, so you know you're going to have image and poetry.
Hmm.
How do you make those two things mesh together? I mean, yeah, there's a lot of edit. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were asking. Because, yeah, I think sometimes people will often ask me like what's the sequence? Like which do you do first or do you come across something for which, you see a lyrical entry point, for example. And I think for me, it sometimes just depends on um I do a lot of looking. So if I think for me, like my first, I'm like looking at things all the time. I'm at flea markets. I'm at a lot of like museums or looking through obscure science textbooks. And I think I was looking at different star maps, like I was like, going through like, archive.org and like all these other, kind of old libraries. And I remembered looking at planispheres and thinking, it'd be really cool to not only see like the star for that hour, but like to see the stars, but like if the words could speak back a poem to me. So sometimes I'll get some kind of instinct that says, "Oh, what if we could do this, or what if this could happen?" I know like with the medical diagrams in silent anatomies, again, when I would go to medical offices and look at these posters, and I'd say, it'd be kind of interesting though, like what is the poem, behind that anatomy diagram. And so I would go into this exercise of removing all the medical language, but using the medical terms as kind of like a jumping off point for associations, for example, or memories, and then coming back to the diagram and then bringing my own lyrical take on it, for example. And so sometimes things occur in that fashion. But also sometimes I think it can happen the other way where, while like free writing, sometimes I'll come back to a set of texts I've generated and maybe circle like interesting images, objects, textures, colors, things like that, that then make me go hunting for things from which I can build out a poem and maybe do like chance operations or experiments with them. So I think of it very much like a scientist would, like what if I tried this method on these texts, what would happen, and it's very much kind of like a I think of it's like almost like being in a maker space and saying like, what happens if we put these things together or take it apart and so in a way, like whatever scientific methods you come up with for yourself, I think of it as just being playful and being setting up experiments and then seeing what happens. And I think a lot of times it looks very raw and like DIY in the beginning, and that's okay. Um, and then usually towards the end, as I turn it into more of a produced piece, that's when I sit with my collaborators or any printers I'm working with, and then that's where I take my poet hat off and I put my design hat on, like the production manager hat on, and then really sit down and then get to talking through everything from inks to type sizes to all those kinds of pre-press things. Um so it happens in phases. But you know I won't bore you with the minutia details, but I hope that's helpful though.
Fascinating. Thank
Mhm,
you so much, both of you, for being here.
mhm.
Unless someone has another question, I
Betsy
think
Can I
does.
have Nadia answer that same question, please?
Yeah, I made the photographs completely separate from the poems, but the themes in the photography series were similar to the themes in the poems. And so it was almost natural to see how they could fit together, which poems could fit. Initially, in the first version of the completed manuscript, I had some family photography in there too. But my publisher suggested that we remove those and just keep the landscape, the natural landscape ones, because those were like domestic, indoor, and so they weren't doing the work that the other ones were doing, and I agreed with them. And so I thought the the way that the photographs appeared with the poem text initially was not the best way. Like I think I had the photograph. I know I had the photographs in the poems because I'm not really design talented and all those things that Monica is, and so I brought them together in that way, and I liked it until my publisher suggested, "Oh, what if we made it look like this?" And the photograph takes up a lot more space on the page, which I was like, yeah, it's kind of becomes buried. It was buried in there, and so how is the photography speaking to the poems is something that I consider. But also when I look at visual art, I feel like I'm looking at poems, And so I feel like, there are certain artists that I love, whose work I love, and I'm like, this is a poem, this one piece, or this series. And so it feels very natural to me to try to bring those two, bring together the visual with the text, but also poetry is very visual. So it's, I don't know, I'm thinking about what is this poem saying, and how does this photograph relate to it? How does it add to it? So yeah, it is experimenting. So yeah, someone had asked me if I would bring photography into a future book as well, and I would, but I don't have a plan to necessarily do that. Only if it feels like I need to. But I am curious about it again. I will keep making photographs, so yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I think we'll adjourn now because I have to take a train this late this afternoon. Got a lot to do before I do. But thank you so much to our features and to our open mic and to everyone, including people who are watching the video and or who will watch the video. Um, I hope that you'll come back when other people are featuring and join the open mic and listen and be part of the audience. And thanks again. And I'm so happy to have learned about your work and learned so much from it. Thanks again. Bye.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
you all. Thank you,
Thank
Robin. Thank
you.
you, Nadia.
Thank you,
Shout
Monica.
out,
Thank you,
Phil. Thanks
Robbie.
for coming.
Yes,
Nice to
thank
meet you
you.
all.
Thank you, Dorothy.